It's live. Hey, this is Carlton. Watch this. Okay. Whoa, that's kind of loud. Let's turn that down some. Or is that too loud, or is that good? You like that? Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. It's kind of loud in my ear, but so we have this website here. It's called DeerParkVeterans.com. By the way, I was asked last Saturday to MC this, so me being a veteran myself, I was like, absolutely, and I tried my best to get this website put together. We'll go over the homepage, and basically it's going to have separate sections. And so once I started putting the first page together, it came to be where it was like I could only do 20 at a time. So then I had to, okay, they can only put 20 picture albums on a page. So it's like I had to make more pages. So the first page, I left it up because I didn't have time to move all the pictures onto the other pages. So we'll cover it in order. But on the page, one of the things, if you look at it, of course, there's me doing a thank you. I'll take that down, but we have a plaque outside that was created, and let me go on Facebook. I know everybody's like, wait a minute, he's going on Facebook for what reason? Hey, can't you stay off Facebook, sir? So the way this came together, I was told Martha here, hopefully she's watching over there. She has Crohn's disease and wasn't able to make it. And she really wanted to be here. But Martha was the one I was told that organized and raised money, almost $2,000 to have this plaque made. It was around $1,600 or so. And there was $250 left over. And she sent it to my Aunt Sherry. And Aunt Sherry did all this, which is awesome. So we definitely want to give Martha a big thank you and everybody who donated to this. And yeah, we'll give a round of applause. How about that? Absolutely. So Martha, if you're here, we want to say thank you. Everybody yell, thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Martha.
Okay. All right, so that's how that came about. So here's the plaque, and we're going to go over all these names. But before we go over these names, all right, so it was founded by family members of Deer Park. The goal is to remember those of Deer Park who served. Those from yesteryear when Deer Park was mostly dirt roads, including Otranto was a dirt road, and Northwoods Estates was a bunch of cow fields. To today, Deer Park being the middle of the Charleston Tri-County Metro. Those who fought for our freedom, who gave the oath to defend the United States Constitution and our country from both foreign and domestic enemies with their lives. Some gave their lives, and you'll see, I don't know who's on this list that happened, but some gave their lives. We all know veterans. I'm going to explain something to you in a second about boot camp. Some lived, yet gave up their physical abilities. We all see disabled veterans missing arms, legs. And then there are some veterans that they look normal, but their mental wounds you cannot see. And we're going to cover a veteran like that today. But one of the things that I really appreciate veterans for, and you know, everyone's went through boot camp. And so they call it Hell Week. It's like week 5 of boot camp where they bust your butt and literally to where you're on the brink of like, I don't think I can keep going. And so, at least in my boot camp, they had us grab they unfurled an American flag like that. And I was, you know, in the Navy. They have each man grab an edge, literally your chest to chest around the flag, and you're holding on to it. And our company commander, he says, look around the room. So we start look at each other. So we start looking at each other. And he says, now, some of you are never making out of the United States military alive. Some of you are going to die. What that flag stands for, and defending our Constitution with your life. And I'll give you one opportunity if you want to get out of the military right now with an honorable discharge. Not one man in my company left. Company C125 graduated summer of 1991. That's the commitment. I even had a lawyer tell me, oh, well, I made an oath to defend the Constitution. but he wasn't the one that said this. Lawyer said, I made an oath to defend the Constitution. And I said, well, sir, it's not quite the same. So, and then another thing, this site is maintained by Generations for America. A friend of mine, Lieutenant Colonel, retired, Ingrid Centurion. She's got this not-for-profit called Generations for America, and there'll be a link at the bottom. Our goal is for the next generation to appreciate the ones who served to keep America the greatest land in the free world. It's important that our generations never forget that freedom today is not free. We're always one generation away from losing our freedoms. These service members that we're going to honor today, they gave an oath to defend the Constitution from both foreign and domestic enemies with their lives on the line. God gives us our rights, and our U.S. Constitution must be enforced to keep our rights and freedoms. The United States is the last place on earth for our democratic republic. So if we fail, then there is no other place to get away from tyranny. A free land like ours. This memorial is created for the children who enjoyed Deer Park and also this facility, to give them and our families a look back at the previous kids who became these veterans and the families who served our community in Deer Park. Deer Park is from I-26 over to Rivers Avenue, from University Boulevard and to the exit of 52 right there by Northwoods Mall. So all that was known as Deer Park, and it's still known as Deer Park. So first I would like to we'll go ahead and start with the memorial, and if any of the family members are here, you're more welcome to come up and say a few words. And so first, I don't have a picture of Bruce Adams, but we'd like to thank him for his service. And does anybody here have any comments for Bruce? And one of the things I would like to do, I mean, this was so quick. If anybody's on Facebook or, here today, we somehow we got to get these photographs of these guys. And then the next one, so thank you for your service, Bruce Adams. Cody Adams. Do y'all remember Cody Adams? So, oh yeah, I like that. He's deceased now. So you said, oh yeah. Do you know what branch he was in? He was in the Army. So why did you say, oh yeah, I know Cody? Was he a mischief, rowdy one? See, this is the best part about a ceremony like this. You get to hear stories. So I don't know Cody Adams, but we need to get in touch with Cody's family, and we need to get some photographs of him. The next is Gary Jasper Bowers Jr. Anybody? All right, well, let's go back. I forgot to thank. Let's thank Cody Adams for his service and defending our Constitution. We salute you. Gary Jasper Bowers Jr.
There's a story about Gary. Martha's my sister.
Hold on a second.
Martha's my sister, and we were coming from California. I went out there to help her move back home. And we were out in the middle of Arizona, middle of nowhere, and we stopped at the gas station to get gas. And who pumped our gas? Gary. She looked at him and she said, Bubba, aren't you away from home? You better go home. He said, well, you're here, so we better go home too. But that was so strange, meeting him out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, they always say it's a small world, but that's a really cool story. Anybody know if Gary's still around? No, we don't know. All right, so we definitely need to find a picture of Gary. Thank you for your service, Mr. Bowers Jr. Jerry Carroll. Anybody remember Jerry?
I remember him. He came back wounded.
Jerry came back wounded?
Yes, he came back wounded.
Do you know which branch of service he was in? lived on Wheaton Street. That's where my mom grew up, on Wheaton Street. My dad was on Deerwood Drive. Thank you, Jerry Carroll, for your service, and to get a Purple Heart, that means he was on the front line. The next one is Brent Cross. That's actually my Uncle Brent. He was a U.S. Marine. He was infantry, was in Vietnam. That's my father's younger brother. And he's also he was a third generation veteran. And I pulled these off of his Facebook. He's not here today, but we definitely want to thank my Uncle Brent Cross for his service. Thank you, Brent. And I heard he was a mischief person too. Yeah, he and my grandfather. He got spankings a few times. So number 6, I'm going to skip my father for right now. I'm going to save my father for towards the end. And then we'll go to number 7, Gene Coward. Anybody remember Gene?
Sonny.
He went by Sonny. Well, Sonny's the next one. Yeah, that's John Sonny Coward. So we had Gene and Sonny. They were brothers.
What do you brother Robert and Sonny close?
They lived on Salamander.
Yeah. It's Clyde and Ira and Sonny used to. Wow.
A while back. Hey, what's up with this? This sounds like Deer Park was a fun place. Y'all were all like, man, we're friendly. We got dirt roads and trucks. And
That's why they all went in the military.
yeah, hey, that's why we all went. Hey, back in the day, criminal court used to be like that was an option. Either you get a charge or you join the military and straighten up. I think we should reenact that. Yeah, give me a hand for that one. We should reenact that instead of getting, the judges used to do that. Hey, you're either getting a record or you can join the army. Which one? I'm going in. So let's thank the two brothers, Gene Coward and John Sonny Coward. And like I said, we have to get these photographs. And so this is going to be a yearly thing. And what I'm thinking is the way this is going to work is maybe next year, because we got World War II and we got Vietnam. There's been a lot of conflicts after that. We also need to do Korea and all the way up until present day. And also Tyler, the director of this place, he graduated from the Citadel in 2021. And he's a company commander in the Army Reserves right now. And he said we could start putting plaques or pictures across the back with the bleachers of these people. I think that'd be a great idea. And to put, deerparkveterans.com. Because when, freedom's not free, but when a kid gets an opportunity to walk up and see these faces and like, wow, and then to hear stories, it really changes your attitude. All right, so next we got the Driggers, Curtis Driggers. Do we have any stories about?
Oh, yeah, I got it.
We got to hear this one. We got a good one.
All the Driggers lived on the end of my street. And he was the youngest of the brothers. And we used to go to Miss Dawn's little gas station. Well, it wasn't a gas station, it was just a small store. And we were going, and we wouldn't know where to go. You know what that booger did to me? He shot me in the butt with a BB gun.
Hey, that's the Second Amendment, right? Yeah, that's another thing we need to defend. That's the Second Amendment. You're not supposed to shoot somebody in the butt, but that's not a firearm. That's an air pistol or an air rifle. Yeah, back when I was younger, we used to have BB gun wars, and that's before they had paintball. And we had this rule: you couldn't, you're only allowed to pump the thing up 3 times, and then you could shoot it. But you would be in the woods playing this game, and you'd hear, and you're like, okay, I didn't hear a. You're supposed to hear. You didn't hear that, and you hear. You're like, hey man, he's got 6, and then you're. Yeah. Oh yeah, look at these 2. Yeah, I remember playing that game. Like. Yeah, I've been hit with a BB gun before. So that was Curtis was the younger of the Driggers. So we have to. He lived in Somerville. Yeah, we're gonna have. Yeah, all right, so I'm gonna give you some homework. You gotta get in touch with these people that send us some pictures to put up on these things. The next one is Edward Driggers. All right, so let's thank the Drigger brothers for their service. Sounds awesome. All right, let's see. We're at number 10. Yep, okay. Now, number 11. Mr. Allen, are you in here? That's you right there. So let's... I like the skinny guy. All right, so hold on 1 second. Let's. So you were a senior master sergeant in the Air Force, correct? Hold on 1 second, man. I'm gonna give you the microphone.
All right. You guys bear with me. The picture you're looking at here, I was a calibration technician, supervisor, in charge of the test equipment that would make you so you drop a troop out of an aircraft at, say, 30,000 feet, and you come to that same point in the air. Didn't matter where it was at, but that piece of equipment in front of me would make sure you get back to that very same point in the air. And that was our job, is to calibrate and repair test equipment, anything from simple aircraft tire gauges up to identification friend or foe tests at an aircraft flying at you. You don't know if he's friend or foe, but if he's not squawking the right code, he's going to splash him. So that'd be what I've been doing there.
All right, let's go to the next picture. Oh, there we go.
That's that skinny guy. I was 17 years old. I weighed probably about 180 pounds, and scared you know what out of me for the first 5 weeks, and after that I kind of realized that this guy's just trying to get me through it. And then I was out of basic at 17 years old. Yeah, that's a picture of my beloved here by me. They had about 10 years in, and at 10-year point, you start looking at, geez, I've done 10 years, I could do 10 years standing on my ear. Well, the next 10 years was a whole lot different. There, I'm over in the Philippines. During the time we were there, from 3.5 years, there was a lot of Philippine insurrection going on. They were making political statements at the costing of a couple of GIs a year, and what they ended up doing is restricting us to the base. And I got my pilot's license while I was there, so we were able to ferry some equipment over to Subic Bay, which was a Navy depot. They were be able to calibrate some of the test equipment for us, and that's what I'm there flying the equipment over. There I'm in Saudi Arabia, support a Desert Storm. I just made senior, of course. I'm sitting there, got to show you my stripes. You know, the saying was, run your nose up and down that sleeve and tell me how many times it bumps. That was, but anyhow, sandbags, it tells it all. Keep the black mustache in place is what my great-grandfather would say. There, that's running out. We must have just got married. I see a wedding ring, so she had me hogtied right there.
Hey, so I have a question. Do you know how to speak white?
Yes, sir, I do. Yeah. Yes, no, I'm sorry. Big thing, I'm sorry. There, I'm in the VFW life number, and we were at Wisconsin, where I live in the summertime. And we were doing a dedication to all the veterans in the local area. And that's my little grandson's stomach. He was, I think, probably about 3 years old at the time, and he wanted to be with Grandpa. So Grandpa gave him one of his old flight caps, and he's wearing that, and he's just as proud as can be. And he ended up escorting me up on the stage later on. I got a picture at home. I might be able to bring it next year. And of course, there's my my tractor, my two grandkids, Aurora and Summit, and we're doing what grandfathers do best.
I appreciate that. Let's give him a round of applause. Appreciate it. All right. So, where did that go? Okay, so I might get off me there, sir. All right, so is Henry here?
No, he had to stay home.
He had to stay home. So that's your older brother. Yeah, he sent me a bunch of pictures. Maybe you could help describe these photographs.
That's a copy of the picture. In basic. That's a copy of the picture. It was done for him while he was in basic training, kind of a thing that you do whenever you graduate the position. That's him. I guess he's probably a passport picture. That's an F-102 over Naha, Okinawa. He crewed that going TDY up to Korea, and I don't know if how long he was up there, but he crewed that and a couple other birds there. That's the F-102 right there. Is that now? That's him on the alert truck. Of course, he's doing what he's got to do to get the job done. And there he is nowadays. He's, I think he called it follically deficient or something like that. I tell you what, like we all said, you grew up in Deer Park, you couldn't ask for a better brother.
All right, let's give his brother a round of applause. Thank you for your service and your brother. Okay. Let's see. We'll go ahead and do these and then we'll go to the other page. Next one is Randall Jameson. Aunt Sherry, you got some things you'd like to say?
Randall passed away last year.
I'll flip the pictures.
Okay. My brother Randall joined the Navy right out of high school, and he was one of the first crew on the Nimitz, and he stayed in for 10 years, and he had COVID year before last and cracked a rib, and the doctors said he had stage 4 cancer from the radiation on the nuclear on the ship. But, I'm sorry.
He was a good guy.
He did die. Yeah,
He was a good guy.
he wasn't rowdy.
No.
That would have been Bobby. The next one.
So I can, seeing how I was a Navy aviation boatswain mate, I would explain this to you guys. So Randall is what's called a plank owner. I missed being a plank owner on the USS Wasp by 2 years. Basically what a plank owner is when the ship is still under construction. they pull it out of, it's almost complete, and they go ahead and assign the crew to the ship, and all that first crew, they become what's called a plank owner. They're the first crew of the ship. And that's what that certificate is. And the Nimitz is named after Admiral Nimitz, which was a really awesome admiral in World War II. And it's our first nuclear aircraft carrier. And then Randall's job, he was an aviation electronics technician. Basically, this is a picture I pulled off the internet of basically A4 back in the time when he was on there. And so he dealt with the electronics on the aircraft. And then that's a picture of the Nimitz when it was being commissioned. He'd have been there. And these are some of the birds that would have been on the Nimitz in during the time he was in there. So Randall Jameson, U.S. Navy Aviation Electronics Technician D5, the first crew of the USS Nimitz, CV, and a 68 plank holder received. Let's give Randall a round of applause. So this next one, this would be my uncle Junior. We'll go ahead and do this one, and we'll go. We're not really going in any order. My uncle Junior, I'll let the family talk about him. I'll describe it as best I can. Everybody knows Uncle Junior. He's wild. He was definitely a character. He liked to make people laugh. He definitely liked to play jokes on people. He got me scared. One time, I'll tell the story, Chris. This is, so there was Chris, that's my cousin Chris over there, and then his brother Tater, who's no longer with us. The three of us were acting stupid, cutting up, and Uncle Jimmy came in, I'm coming here again, I'm gonna tell you what's up. And so we were like telling his younger brother Tater, hey Tater, do it again. And sure enough, Tater did it again. And here comes Uncle Junior and tore his butt up, and Tater did not shed a tear, but Chris started crying without me getting hit. I was like, so that was Uncle Junior. I mean, it's, yeah, that's a funny story. But I never knew this. So Fireman Clyde Riley Jr., he was actually my mom's younger brother, but he was named after my mom's father. By the way, the Riley name my mom said, when she was younger, she talked to Joe Riley, Mayor Joe Riley's father, and we were related back on that side somehow. My mom and Mayor Joe Riley's dad. You'd have to ask my mom how it goes. But anyway, so he grew up here, I guess, off of Wheaton Street. Returned recently from the gun line off the shore of Vietnam aboard the USS New Derby. This is really cool. Let me show you this. As a Navy guy, we have a lot of respect for on the aircraft carrier, we're the center of the fleet. Battleship back then would be close to us. They have the most power to keep aircraft from getting to us, and then outside of those guys are cruisers, and then outside of that would be destroyers. So we have this huge circle around us of, this line, so you can't get to us. Regardless at all times. So that's looks like a picture of him. If we can't, this is actually that photograph right there. I'm not sure which one is Uncle Junior in there. One with the glasses right in the front. Second row. So, right there. All right. Second row with the glasses. Right there. Okay, yep, he's right behind the company commander. So like that story I was telling y'all, that would have been the company commander, which would make all these guys grab the edge of the American flag and tell them, you want to leave. So there's Uncle Junior. So Fireman Clyde L. Riley Jr., U.S. Navy, 19th 7 on the first firing mission in 15 years of the battleship, 16-inch guns destroyed enemy ammunition storage areas, artillery sites within just north of the demilitarized zone. Spotter aircraft working with the New Jersey described the hits as right on the money. Later, the same day, the ship took two artillery positions and 6 bunkers under fire. 1 artillery site and 3 bunkers were destroyed. Admiral Sam H. Morris, Commander Cruiser Destroyer Group of the 7th Fleet, told newsmen in New Jersey would supplement the air arm of the 7th Fleet Marines and Air Force. There's another clipping of that. Look at that. That's a photograph of New Jersey back in Vietnam.
Junior would have been right there.
Also put up, basically, this is all the targets that New Jersey destroyed from 68, 69. Main battery structures destroyed 439, structures damaged 259, bunkers destroyed 596, bunkers damaged 250, artillery sites neutralized 19, automatic weapons AA and mortar sites silenced 35, secondary explosions 130, roads interdicted 26 meters of trench line rendered unusable 1,925, caves and tunnels complex destroyed 75, enemy killed in action confirmed 136, enemy killed in action probable 17, troop movement stopped 12, second battery structures destroyed 56, structures damaged 92, bunkers destroyed 59, bunkers damaged 73, artillery sites neutralized 2, mortar sites silenced 6, waterborne logistics craft destroyed, Sea Dragons 9 of those, secondary explosions 46, enemies killed in action confirmed 10, enemy killed in action probable 7. And Uncle Junior would have been right there with that ship. That's a broadside shot of New Jersey years later, probably around Desert Storm. That's they call it a full broadside. That's when they literally all 9 16-inch guns fire at the same time. And it's said when it happens, if you look, you'll see a trail. See this borderline? It literally moves the ship about 6 feet over when it fires. That's how much power is shooting out of there. And that's her underway, being calm. Oh, man in the rails. Oh my gosh, I can tell you stories. Man in the rails. You see all the sailors on the edge of the ship? Yeah, when you come in from a deployment, they have everybody man the rails from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to get to the dockside. And if it's in December, January, February, you can't even open the door to get back in. Your hands are like, come on, open the door. I mean, it's insane. You're frozen. In the Navy, we go by saying, "Don't tell me how rocky the sea is. Just bring the damn ship in." And there's Uncle Junior. This was September 2012, a month before he passed away. Got to see ship 8. All right. Now, I'm going to go to the next page, and I think we got all these guys on this page. Let's give a round of hand for Uncle Junior. Would y'all like to say anything about it? No? Alright. So we got these guys, towers. I think we went through all 10 of these. This is Alright, so we got the first page. Let's go to the second page. Starts at number 11. We got the Trigger Brothers. We got Herman. Ronald. Oh, there's the name of it. We had got to Gillespie. We got the Trigger Brothers. I'm not sure, did we get Ronald? Anybody know anything about Ronald or Herman? Ronald lives in Florida. Do you know what branch he was in? Navy. Gotcha. All right, so let's give him a round of applause. Thank you for his service. All right. John Gillespie, or Johnny Gillespie. Does anyone have any stories about Johnny? Nope. Well, let's thank him for his service. I guess he had a brother named Eddie. Any stories? Nope. Is that his dad? Just two of them. Oh, we got two Eddies on there? Oh, I know what it is. Eddie Granger. That's supposed to say Eddie Granger. Is Eddie Granger here? Arkansas. We gotta get all these pictures now. Alright, so how about we have Jack Holden. And let's go ahead and round of applause. Ted Hux. Okay. All right. We covered Alan. Correct? Alan would be your father? Charles. I don't believe I have any pictures of him yet.
I said it, but I tell you what, I'm not for electronic, you think I know how they work.
Right.
I consider my mom's pictures out there out in the internet.
I'm gonna get. I think I got some more pictures on Facebook. We can find them. So Henry Harold Hudson, we've already covered him. All right, now on to the page number 3. Hang with me now. All right. So Henry Harold Hudson. Okay. Like I said, I did this. Randall, of course, he got the first page. Bobby Robert Jameson. He's not here right now, but he was a city council member for North Charleston and 2 terms. He was in the Air Force. I heard that his wife has she has cancer, so he couldn't be here today. So let's give Bobby Jameson, Robert, all right. Russell Jameson Jr. is correct and is supposed to be senior, and that would be the father of Bobby and Randall and Aunt Sherry and Rhonda. And all right, so Junior actually served in Desert Storm, and in our next event we'll cover him. But Senior was in World War II. What branch? It was the Army Air Corps. That's cool. Yeah. Hey. Y'all got any stories you want to tell? No? No? No, we're good?
He has some crazy stories though.
Okay. Well, let's thank Senior for his story. No. All right, Archie Langston.
But
go ahead and give thank you for the service. All right, John Mack. Any stories about John? Nope. Next door neighbor.
It was a group of them that were bad.
Oh, he was with the group that was dead.
Yeah, he was one of those that terrorized those young kids.
Yeah, you got to make the younger brother be the crash test dummy for doing stuff. And then if it works, you're like, cool, we'll do that. If it doesn't, well, we got to change it.
He lived right on University Boulevard, right where Zaxby's is.
Right where Zaxby's is today. So let's thank John for his service. How about Terry McPeters? Any? No stories? Let's thank him for his service. Jim Mitchell, or Johnny Mitchell. Jimmy Mitchell. I think I know that name. Miss Mitchell used to have cakes and stuff. Oh, wait, what day got Yep. All right. Well, let's thank Jimmy for his service. And his mom. Oh, that's the husband. Oh, that's okay. Cool. So that was from World War II. See, we gotta get all these pictures. Ronnie Nixon. Anybody here for Ronnie? All right, let's give Ronnie a round of applause. All right, let's see. How about Robert Bobby Moyers? Record holder for Skull's pole vault. That's cool. All right. Well, let's give Bobby a round of applause. We got to find these pictures that we see their face and put them on there. All right. So we covered Clyde Riley Jr. Our Smoke. That's his dad. Y'all need this? Okay.
I don't need that. This is my dad's discharge papers from the Navy. As a lot of you remember, we had a paint and body shop on Salamander Road, and that was my dad. And that's a picture of him. He painted an old, I think it was Model A. I don't have any current good pictures because of the situation in the family. But anyway, I want to thank every one of you that has served this country. My family, we live in a very blessed nation because of people like you. So I appreciate that. And this is my brother, Bubba, one of the troublemakers. He was a rounder in his day. Yes. Oh gosh. And he would wreck the car, and he would tear up my mother's car. I could never drive my mother's car because of Bubba, because he set the precedent for being able to drive the car. He wrapped her brand new Ford Galaxy 500 around the telephone pole on Tranville Road before she left to go to Colorado, and tore her car up. And she wouldn't let him use it the whole time he was here on leave until the last night. He begged her. Well, guess what? About 1:30 in the morning, I was 6 years younger than him. met my dad on my dad met him at the cargo rail. We won't go into details. But my brother was about that tall. He was my hero. I lived with him for a while after he got back, and he suffered. No, he was not hurt physically, but he was hurt mentally, and told me many, many things that happened to him in Vietnam, and things that he had to do to keep his unit safe, himself safe. And it was tough. It was hard to hear his story. But I'm going to read you this. This is dated April 9th, 1970. He was in Vietnam. This is a letter. He received soldier's medal. The theater was the Republic of Vietnam. The authority given was by the direction of the President under the Provisions Act of Congress, July 2nd, 1926, AR 672-5-1. All that. Reason for heroism not involving the actual conflict with an armed enemy. Specialist Force Smoke distinguished himself by exceptionally valorous actions on 6 December 1969 while performing duties as a tower guard at Camp Holloway in the Republic of Vietnam. From his guard post, Specialist Smoke observed a helicopter taking off after refueling at Camp Holloway. Shortly after takeoff, the helicopter faltered, then crashed and broke into pieces. With complete disregard for his own safety, Specialist Smoke rushed directly to the aircraft. Upon arrival, he noticed that 3 crewmen were trapped in the aircraft and that another had been thrown clear to wreckage. Rockets and ammunition were scattered in and around the aircraft, and highly volatile fuel was pouring from the ruptured fuel tank. The turbine engine was still operating, which further increased the possibility of fire and explosion. In spite of the extreme hazards and at the risk of his own life, Specialist Smoke immediately began the task of rescuing the injured and semi-conscious crewmen. With the assistance of several other men who had arrived on the scene, he scrambled over the aircraft, freeing the crewmen one by one and removing them to safe distance from the potentially explosive wreckage. After accomplishing this, Specialist Smoke returned to the aircraft, attempted to turn off the turbine engine. When it became evident that the engine could not be shut down, he returned to the injured crewmen and moved them farther from the wreckage. As a result of Specialist Smoke's courageous and selfless performance, the lives of all 4 of the helicopter crewmen were saved. His heroic actions were in the highest tradition of the military service and reflect great credit upon in the United States.
That's one of the examples of y'all see the injuries that are inside. But we definitely thank you, Mr. Smoke, for your service. And so Ira Bubba Smoke III. That was him.
He was known as Bubba.
So who was the first Ira?
That's my father.
That's your father? Gotcha.
That's his dad. He was junior and brother.
Well, let's give a round of applause to the Smoke family. See, one of the things about this is when, it's a Deer Park family and, growing up around here, everybody knew, they went out way to the service to hear these stories and the stories of when they were having fun back home in a free country. Clifford, the Butch songwriter. That is so beach. We're gonna have to get in touch with him. Yeah, close, dude. So, so how's he related to this?
He was my brother's brother that we never had.
Right.
I mean, they were so close, friends. And put his earbud on him.
Yep.
They came home from hunting this one time, and Butch had got his first deer. He come, now like I said, I had a crush on him, he was my brother's best friend, but anyway, he comes up to me, and he goes, "Give us a kiss, baby." I'm ready to kill him right then and there.
Well, let's give them a round of applause.
They used to get in trouble too.
Okay, so we got Wayne Stevens.
That name is spelled wrong.
Uh-oh.
S-P-E-E-N-E-N-S.
Uh-oh. I will correct that, definitely.
I know you can't correct it on the fly, but he lived on a Trando Road, he's my stepbrother. They had a paint shop. He probably another one of those there.
He was rowdy.
That's how they got.
Hey, so that was your stepbrother. Is he still around?
No, he passed away 3 years ago.
Passed away 3 years ago. So I'm gonna have to correct that. Let's give Wayne a round of applause. There was a lot of body shops in Deer Park back then, I guess. All right, how about Kenny Taylor? Any stories about Kenny? Let's give Kenny a round of applause. Terrence Buster Thompson. That's your brother? Oh, we gotta
He's
get
another
this.
one he was the best friend to anybody that, he was good to everybody. But he somebody. He'd give you the shirt off his back, but he'd take your last dime. Yeah, he played the pinball. Everybody around here knew him as the pinball. If there was a machine around, he was on it every day. Mama would catch him. He would skip school and go play the pinball machine. Like I said, he was a good guy when he was good, but he was a bad guy when he was bad. But he served, I do know that he got some kind of acknowledgement. There was a letter, but I don't know where it's at. I believe he served when he was in Vietnam with the guys. He did 2 terms in Vietnam, and he served, one time I think was in the mail part, and the other part he talked to guys that were on drugs. So he got some kind of paper from the government and all about his help trying to keep all the military guys off the drugs that was over there in Vietnam. I don't know where the letter is. I can try to find it.
Yeah, go ahead and
And
pass it.
he passed away about 4 years ago. No, 6 years ago. In 2016, he passed away. He contracted the Agent Orange, when he was over there, and that's what actually killed him, was that Agent Orange. He was 65 when he died. Okay, I'll give it to Dennis.
Thank your brother for your story. Next, we have Dennis Thompson. He's actually here. Did you
send me any pictures?
I think Gail sent you one, but that's okay.
What?
No.
Picture.
Yeah, I did send it.
Okay, well, I'll have to find it.
Yeah, I did send it.
Well, he's here, so we're good.
Tell them about
So you were in the Air Force.
Yeah, I was 21 years old when I went in. Me and Jeanette was already married. I stayed in for 21 and a half years. Luckily, I spent the last 5 years here at Charleston Air Force Base.
So what was your job?
First 15 years I was radar operator. So I went to Mountaintop in Alaska. We did 3 years in Key West, Florida. And then my last 5 years I was first sergeant out here at the Air Force Base.
Sweet.
That's it.
Thank you for your service. Hey, we definitely need radar man to let us know when the enemy's coming for sure. Okay, so we're done with that page. We're almost done, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so we got Jack Ward. Anybody about Jack?
He was our next door neighbor, but I don't know what service he went into. He lived on the dance floor. That he lived in that house that's got trapped in between the doctor's office and that deli, East Bay Deli. It's just back there.
Yeah, I know what house you're talking about.
Yeah, it kind of got trapped back there. Yeah, Randall, it should be on there.
So is anybody with well, let's give Jack a round of applause. I know exactly what house you're talking about. It's right behind. I've actually called the owner. The owner, Eddie Buck, owns it. I tried to get him to, maybe we could clean it up, rent it out, that kind of thing. John Wise.
Yeah, his son was my best friend. He passed away a couple of years ago. He was in the Navy.
So he was a U.S. Navy Chief Petty Officer, submarine service. That's a pretty cool picture. He's on the front of a sub. And being on an aircraft carrier, we love the subs, man. They keep us safe.
Mr. John also retired from Santee Cooper,
Retired Santee Cooper.
and they were like a second family to Dennis and I. I remember a story. He would take us to Isle of Palms. I don't know if you were with us that time. We were in the station wagon, and that's when the old River Bridge was narrow.
Right.
And of course, Mr. John, this has been a long time ago. Mr. John, he'd have to. I remember coming back over the bridge, and you had the wood grain side on that station wagon, and he kind of brushed that high concrete. Scared the mess out of me. But he was that whole family took me in along, really almost with the Thompsons as I was growing up. I left home when I was young. And,
Yeah, he lived with us.
yes, lived with y'all and
And if you
your
did visit back-
your granddaddy Morgan's, but Mr. Wise also he would let us work on Volkswagen engines, and remember Dennis overhauling, and but he was an awesome man. Him and Miss Darling. Miss Darling is still alive, but passed away not long after his son Ricky Garforth.
Let's give John a round of applause. Thank you for his service. Johnny Westbury. Wonder if they're related to Westbury Hardware. Let's give Johnny a round of applause. Randall.
With them, they lived on, first they lived on University Boulevard, and then they lived on Shadow Lane. I guess he went in the Army, but I'm not real sure. But I know it's done a number on him for being in service. Okay, yeah. They went in together, they went in and the Army then. And he's still around. Randall's oldest brother. he might have went in service, but I don't know. He's dead. He got killed. So I don't know. And I could check with Deborah and see. I tried to get a hold of Randall to get him to come here, but he never answered my call today.
Gotcha.
But he's still around, and he still lives on Shadow Lane.
Give him a round of applause. All right, so that's the people that are on the plaque, and we also have, I guess this would be your father.
Yeah.
Um,
He was in World War II and the Korean War.
World War II and Korean. What, it looks like it was Army.
Yeah.
What theater was he in, do you know?
Here. I have my glasses.
I just ran this off the Gail. I'm not sure. Let's see. European, African, Middle Eastern. That's all I see.
I forgot how long he was in, but him and Mom got married in 1950, and he was going to go back in service, but his mother lost his papers, so he didn't get to go back in. He wanted to go back in.
Well, let's,
After him and my mother got married.
let's give your father a round of applause. Lawrence Dyson, that was Uncle Lawrence. He lived on Wheaton Street. He was in World War II. And then we also have Joe Dyson. That was his son. He's a character. He was in the Army. Right, he's on the right side, not the left. I had to change that. But also, my grandfather, James Wallace Cross, he was a U.S. Navy CV. And then this one photograph, this is kind of cool. It says Deer Park Trailer Court. That's his 1954 Chevy that he, Gene Johnson drove it, and they rolled it at some back there. That's 8811 Deerwood Drive. And now, we got a few minutes remaining. We got to be out of here in about 10 minutes. So, but I'm going to go back to the homepage. I'm going to cover my father's service, Lance, and just tell you a little bit about Lance. He and my mom were high school sweethearts, and because of him, he finished college and joined the Army. I'm inside my mom's stomach. The Army let him stay for 1 month, or let him stay until I was born. And then as soon as I was born, he left, and he wrote, I have hundreds of writings he wrote, and he wrote, looking out the window of the airplane, Mama was crying, Daddy had a look of worry in his eye, a wife holding a 1-month-old son waving goodbye. Thoughts ran through the young man's mind, probably the same thoughts all soldiers ponder, will I live, will I die? Be maimed. Little did he realize the wounds he carried for the rest of his days. He also won the Silver Star, and basically another helicopter got shot down. He was working a heavy pink team. That's 2 Loach helicopters. That's the little, and those are 2 of his shirts that he flew while he was fighting in Vietnam. He flew the Scout helicopter. Right here, this is when the general pinned the Silver Star on him. So basically what happened was, helicopter got shot down, the pilot of the down helicopter, and I'll show you the picture because what is really cool, if you look at this photograph, this is America. And they didn't call each other African American or Hispanic American or Native American, they were just Americans. And this is my father, Lance, right here. That's the pilot of the other aircraft. That's his backdoor gunner, Gonzalez. I believe this guy's a Native American. He was on the plane. That was my dad's aircraft. He was the pilot. This was his left door gunner. That was his back right door gunner. When he got the Silver Star, the white, he got his helicopter shot down. He gets out of the aircraft, pulls his 45 out of his pocket, and turns to check on Gonzalez after the crash. And there was a Vietnamese standing at the tail of the helicopter. And White shot that Vietnamese, point blank, point range. Gonzalez pointed his 60 back there, started shooting. The tall guy was the front left door gunner. He was so scared he crapped in his pants. and White says ceasefire. All of a sudden, the kid that crapped in his pants said, "Sir, how are we getting out of here?" And my dad's helicopter flies over top. My dad said when he came over, I thought it was an engine out. I didn't know it was a hot LZ. I start getting rocked. I had to leave the area. He said you could hear the bullet hole, or the blades whistling from the bullet holes. He checks his instruments. He said, I already made the decision to go back in, but I wanted my crew to make sure we're going. So I mic'd them. I said, what do y'all want to do? They said, well, if we were down there, we want somebody to pick us up, so let's go. My dad, give you an example, that scout helicopter can only hold 4 people when fully loaded. We got 3 guys on the ground and already 3 on the bird. Okay, so we can get 1 and more, and that's, we still got 2 on the ground. Okay, I'm low on fuel. He calculated the weight. Yep, we can get another one. Okay, we still got 1 on the ground. He said that I told my crew, I said, the moment we sat down ready to get them in, I want you to throw everything out, all armor, all weapons, everything, and we're going to redline it and try to get out of there. It took them 5 attempts. First time they go back over there, they start pointing to direct these guys to a clearing. And the guys on the ground thought they were saying the Vietnamese were over there. So they started running away from the clearing towards it. And my dad had to come back in. He's taking gunfire, wave them off, point him to the clearing. He said, I went and I landed in the clearing. And here comes the pilot and one of the door gunners, a tall guy that wrapped in his pants, just running out of the woods. And he yells at White, where's your gun? Where's your other gunner? He's like, I don't know. He's like, stay right here. He takes his bird back up, flying sideways to keep his door gunner with the 60. They find Gonzalez in the woods in a gun battle with the Vietnamese. My dad's door gunner is giving cover, kills some Vietnamese, come back, he lands. He said, man, you didn't have to ask Gonzalez to get in my bird, man. He comes running out of the woods, he throws his 60 down, jumps in. And then all of a sudden, White and the tall guy start arguing about who gets to get in the helicopter. No, sir, you go. No, you go. And my dad's yelling, tell them both get in, I'm going to leave them. And meanwhile, his white bubble helmet is just sitting there. And he says, all of a sudden, Major Trolley showed up on station with another scout, and he saw him. So he says, tell him I'm pulling out. He pulls the collector, starts to lift off. The door gunner jumps in. We left White on the ground. As he's pulling out, there's a Vietnamese with 30 cal just tearing up my dad's aircraft. Major Trolley's gunner got that guy that came in, picked up the pilot, got back to base. Now, if you can picture, my dad wrote a poem about this day. As he's flying back to base, he's checking his instruments. When he gets back to base, he gets out of his helicopter, starts looking at it with bullet holes in it. There's a bullet hole underneath his seat, stopped by the radio. And his door gunner had one miss his transmission, missed his head, and hit the transmission and cracked it, and it was leaking fluid. My dad wrote, his hand down to his strap, only defense in his person lying in his door gunner's hands. Still he went once more, and stood and laughed in that store. And still he went once more. The major would later say, did you see that 30 cal shooting at you? All he'd seen were his comrades and he had stood by them, passed his life in with theirs. No one will ever know how he danced suicide death, or only he drove in that seat. He got the Silver Star for that accident. I would love for Americans to see that picture because we need to stop calling each other, we're Americans, man. This is a photograph he took, and he's like, man, I put everything on just to look cool. A pilot did not carry all those grenades on him, but that's a photograph that he took. This is another picture of his bird. He got the Purple Heart. He was flying one day, he got shot in his right leg, and he said when that happened, he was like, oh, game over, and he flew back to base, and that's him on crutches. And of course, once his leg healed, they put him back to flying. That's when he got back. My mom headed for R&R in Hawaii, right in the middle of Vietnam, and she said something had changed. Those are photographs, and I want to show you. We had the privilege of in 2007. Live 5 Minutes did a 2-part special about me and my father. I want to play this for you because they actually interviewed him. And I was inducted into the Cutco Hall of Fame. But
The same Army squadron followed the turn and drove Blockbuster Pit and Apocalypse Now. And a squadron famous for sporting black cowboy hats and courageously flying within arm's reach of the treetops that dotted the Vietnamese landscape.
When somebody is, they can hear you coming. After I don't know where they're at.
Did it ever cross your mind like that?
You just don't think about it. You serve the religious ones to do. It's a job.
A job See you later, anyhow.
All right, so I'm going to spend a couple more minutes, even though we're going to go a little bit over time. So basically what happened, everybody's seen the movie Apocalypse Now. Robert Duvall would have been playing my father's companion. The true story about the Apocalypse Now squadron is way crazier than the actual movie. So he formed they took all the screw-up pilots from A, B, and C troop and they formed D troop. And that's what the little star is on the left side of the uniform. D troop ended up becoming one of the best squadrons. They had the most kills, the most war decorations, the most casualties in the main helicopter squadron. Formed August 1970, by March of 71, with my father and one of the pilots still together for the original 10. And with Steve Larry, he got shot down and killed on his last mission. And the Distinguished Flying Cross, I'll tell you that story and then we'll end this presentation. There was a helicopter that got shot down. It was a Lotus. That day my father was flying front seat in the Cobra and getting seat time to the flying Cobra. Front seat Cobra pilot, they operate all weekends. The scout got shot down and my father said, McLaughlin radioed in, he needed medevac chopper ASAP. Dorganer had 3 AK-47 rounds ripped through his legs. He said every time the down pilot would mic in, you could hear the Dorganer in the background freaking out. And he said, I had 2 choices. Continue flying a circle, just keeping the enemy off. Or I saw a clearing about 200 yards away. And I told the backseat pilot, I see a clearing, I'm going to set it down, I'm going to go grab the wingman, put him in my seat and take it, because wait 15 minutes, he's going to die. He lands, he goes through the jungle, grabs the wingman with McLaughlin. They run back, he puts him in the pilot's seat and shuts the canopy. His helicopter leaves. He told me, he goes, then I thought, what in the hell am I doing here? And he said he went back over to the down scout helicopter, he had a 45 pistol. He said it became very quiet. He said every little branch moved, he described it as he was like a squirrel eating a nut. You ever see him like doing this? He said every little branch moved. He saw the bunker that shot that bird down and he took it out. And he said they're sitting there about a few minutes left, about 5 minutes goes by, about where the word gymnasium in north of the mall is, the treetops started to explode. And he said it scared the living shit out of him. And thought that the Vietnamese would shoot mortars at him. And he said all of a sudden he looks and his Cobra starts going and starts laying more rounds around him. He's like, thank God. And he said when the medevac chopper got there, he said that thing did not even have to touch the ground. And then the other Dorganer jumped in and they got away. And I asked him, I said, well, I always thought that's what you guys are so strong for. He said, no, man, I never got medal for that. I said, I don't understand. On Facebook, I'm in touch with backseat pilot Dan Rager, and he says he remembers that happening, but he doesn't remember who the front seat pilot was. Somewhere in America, there's a man who has family just like all of us because of my father. When he got back from Vietnam, him and my mom got divorced when I was 2. And in 1973, the Army was downsizing and they rifted him. He wanted to stay in, but they rifted him. And in 1975, he left, and I would not see or hear from him until I was 25. And when I met him for the first time, I had a lot of questions. And one of the things that he said to me was, my concern is one day nobody's going to abide by the Constitution. And I want to share something with you that people ask me, how come my daughter's not here right now? I'm going through a family court case. Probably one of the worst family court cases in South Carolina history. I haven't seen my daughter since September. She's 13. The 7th Amendment of our Constitution is the right to jury trial in a civil action, anything over $20. There's only 2 states that offer jury trial in family court. That's Texas and Georgia. The Seventh Amendment of the Constitution has never been incorporated and enforceable on the states. So, my question is this. Family court's a civil court. Okay, cool. Every mother and father should have the right to because the child support over $20, and the answer is yes. And then these legal fees that the judge is saying, no, you got to pay your extra legal fees. Is that over $20? If the answer is yes, then you should have the right to say, Your Honor, I would like the jury to decide my legal fees. I'd even go a step further. And this is me talking from experience. The courts are not making decisions based on facts. I'm not going to get into the relationships, but we all know lawyers and judges, they hang out together. So I would go a step further and say a parent should have the right to raise their hand everywhere in the United States of America and say, Your Honor, I'd like a jury to decide my child's future. The way this would work, just like a charge a jury in a criminal case. I'm going to read you what mom wants, I'm going to read you what dad wants, and then they're going to show you a photograph of the child. Now, we all know if you're on that jury of 7 people, and it's based on a 4 out of the 7 vote for something or say no to something, that's what a child gets. You would be going, oh my God, we got to make sure this child has a great future. And that would be in the best interest of all families. And I'm considering running for office for Deer Park, for State House in South Carolina, House Seat 15. And that's one of the things I think should be changed. And as we all sign up to defend the Constitution from foreign and domestic enemies, that's a lifetime commitment. And I definitely think that's one thing that needs to be changed. And then I would love for this next year to be even bigger. And we could we need more pictures. And I don't know how to do this, but I know Dan Rager, who was the backseat pilot. I know McLaughlin was the down pilot. We got to find out who that Jordan was. And the records are in Washington, D.C. It would be awesome to get. I'm following the Distinguished Flying Cross. And yeah, we still got some work to do because we're only one generation from losing our country. And I think I'm going to end with one poem that he wrote, and this is very touching. Speaking of hunting, nothing against going deer hunting, but if you picture Lance as that long-haired hippie sitting in the bar, and some hunters come up to him and say, "Hey man, you going hunting?" And they just got a deer killed in the back of the truck, and he says, "No, not me." So this is what he wrote: "The crunch and crackle of fallen leaves beneath their boots sounds through the forest. Some ask, you gonna hunt this year? They ask Lance Cross. He says, nah, not me. There in his mind lies a quarry to hunt of which few men have ever tasted. He watches as these hunters, they revel in the kill of such defenseless creatures. He remembers hunts from long ago, and trailing for miles up and down hills, through fields and streams, after the ultimate prey for man. Man. Each predator and prey prepared to defend with equal skill and abilities and weapons. Each knowing only one will survive. This is the truly hunt. Only when one's quest is equal is this hunt more than the slaughter of creatures. Of this hunt he has tasted this most interesting situation, the confrontation by one man by another. As the duel begins, all senses are focused on those aspects of immediate danger. As you execute those functions necessary to ensure the outcome of events in one's favor. He's got 13 confirmed kills in his lifetime. The one that probably touched him the most was he was flying his helicopter at 7 o'clock in the morning, smoke coming out of the woods. This is the last story in our little journey. And he's saying he saw smoke, he does an orbit, flies by, asks the door to receive him, goes 4 times, he comes in and does a hover. His door screams, but underneath us, he said, I moved the helicopter 4 feet to the left, I looked down, we caught a bunch of Vietnamese eating breakfast at the campfire. He said he watched the Vietnamese grab his AK-47. He said, I could see the silver rifle inside the barrel as it was pointed directly at my face. That man undid the safety, pulled the bolt back, and was reaching for the trigger when my door gun dropped him. He said it scared me so bad I threw the stick forward. If you know anything about flying a helicopter, you got about the size of a quarter to move the helicopter to make it move. He said all of a sudden the helicopter jumps up, and I'm looking at the jungle. I'm like, oh shit, we're crashing. He said I buried the stick into my stomach and I snapped full collective. The nose kicked up, the skid skimmed through the trees. As soon as I got altitude, I kicked it to the right, keep my door gun on him, started doing circles. Another helicopter comes in behind him and they start doing orbits. And he said it took yelling 5 times over the intercom. Finally on the 5th time, he's like, ceasefire, God damn it. And he said his door gunner stopped firing and all you could hear over the intercom was. And then your job is to go get those weapons that those Vietnamese had. So my dad lands probably 50, 100 yards away, and his door gunner has to go through woods, grab those weapons, and bring them back. And his door gunner pickpockets the guy that pointed the rifle at my father. And he drops his wallet on my dad's lap, and then they fly off. And when they get back to base, he's photograph, just like y'all saw, of that guy with his wife holding his son or a baby, and then his parents in the background. He killed someone that was his mirror image. And if you look at him, he's normal. There's no physical things wrong with him. But he's got a serious case of PTSD. If anybody knows how we could get him the Distinguished Flying Cross, and invite him back here next year. And I want to thank everybody for coming. And this is the beginning of telling these stories about Deer Park veterans and doing this memorial. Thank you for coming. Yeah, let's go outside and we'll unveil the plaque.
Charlton, before we take off, we have some that came that I don't know if they were on the list, but maybe it's an opportunity to acknowledge my good friend Bill here and
Yeah, if you're a service member, stand up. I know we got 2 in the back, 1 here. Yeah, it's men like these that make our country great. And yeah, I mean, it's awesome being a service member. And we got the best military in the world. We're going to keep it that way. And we got to always support our veterans. And always. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And thank you. Yeah.
Hi, so I'm not from here. I'm one of the Yankees who moved down south, but my dad was down in Vietnam. 6 months after he graduated high school, he was a medic in Vietnam. And I understand what y'all talking about when it comes to PTSD. He was an alcoholic for many, many years. He never quit the habit. My grandfather stormed the beaches in Normandy. And he actually got separated from his unit. And he and a couple of his guys spent 3 days up in a tree hiding from Nazis. So I come from a very long line of military, and I appreciate y'all for your service. Without y'all, you guys are really the heart and bone of this country. You guys keep the Constitution going, keep our morals and values that we were given. You guys keep that honor in check. And I'm ready to raise my son the same way to honor our military and do whatever we can to help them out. I myself do a couple of care packages to send overseas to kids who don't have families. So I just really appreciate y'all and everything y'all have gone through, because I know it was hell. And I know y'all came back not the same way that you left. And y'all are battling your own demons. And it means a lot to me and my family, knowing there's people who are willing to still stand up for the Constitution and for the people of this country.
This
Everybody out? Hold up. Hold up. Come on. We're in the butterfly park. Come on now.
Baby brother. Yeah, I didn't even know him. Yeah. He's my mother-in-law worked with.
All right, y'all ready?
And the daycare.
Still have people coming,
Hold up.
Wait a minute, Sherry, you still got people coming.
Okay, everybody's out.
Everybody out?
No,
No, we still got some.
still got people coming.
They went to the restroom.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, we'll do on there.
All right, here we go.
Here you go.
Oh,
All of our, yay!
Deer Park veterans.
You might be a small community, but that stands for an awful lot of good people.
A lot of love.
Yes. We should be proud to come to Deer Park.
Thanks everybody for coming out.
He didn't Deer Park.
It said Charleston Heights.
Because he didn't live in Deer Park.
What was his name?